When Maker's Mark recently announced the release of the latest bourbon in its wood finishing series dubbed the Heart Release, the first question was, wait, wasn't the BEP the finale in the wood finishing series last year? Now, if you remember, Maker's Mark released BRT-01 and BRT-02 in its wood finishing series back in 2022. And technically, the code for the Heart Release is the BR22A. Is it worth chasing down, and does it differentiate itself enough from other Maker's Mark releases? Find out right now. It's the Mash and Drum. Oh, and happy 4th of July. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like, subscribe, and help do all the things you need to do to help me climb to hit that 100,000 subscriber milestone. Thanks so much for all the support, everybody. So back in 2022, when they released those BRT wood finishing series bottles, those names came from the way Maker's Mark's hand rotates their barrels and how the temperature affects each of their whiskeys. Now for this one, this particular release, according to Maker's Mark, celebrates the team that distills our whiskey, our people who sit at the heart of Maker's, guiding and setting the tone for so much of what we do. Let's get a nice July 4th cork pop. America. So the Heart Release is bottled at 111.7 proof, and it's finished with 10 virgin oak staves. It's available now with a suggested retail price of $74.99, called 75 bucks. So a few details of this bottle I think could be a little bit confusing for the consumer. On the front of the bottle, it says finished with 10 virgin oak staves, but it doesn't really give you any more detail than that. But if you flip it to the side, it says the stave profile is 10 virgin toasted French oak staves. So the front tells you, yes, there's 10, virgin oak staves used, but the side of the bottle specifically calls out toasted French oak staves. Also gives you the proof. And the last detail here, it says volume 1 of 5. So that means there's gonna be 4 more of these. We don't know what they're gonna be, if they're gonna be, derivative of what they used in the last wood finishing series before they brought this back. The last detail that you'll notice is that it's using the same style bottle that we have in the cellar age. So a premium package design, a little bit of a relabeling, remarketing, kind of re-storytelling for the Heart Release for the new wood finishing series. I mean, is it just kind of a revamped version of what we had a few years ago, or is it actually something new? Let's find out. All right, let's go to the nose. The first thing that I notice is the lack of that Maker's Markian, like wheated bourbon note that I sometimes get. It's just this thing that Maker's Mark has that I usually notice. I'm not quite getting like that caramel apple that I normally get in Maker's Mark. This is definitely a little bit of a darker profile. Now on the front of the bottle, it literally says caramel, chocolate, and maple. So I guess that's the stave profile that they're going for. And honestly, all those 3 flavor profiles you can make an argument for here. I do get some chocolate. I think the strongest note for me happens to be the maple sugar note in here. It's not, I feel like when you kind of do a little bit of a drive-by with your glass, that's when you start picking it up. Yeah, but for me, the maple syrup note, I think, is probably the most prevalent, but let's give it a try. Nothing surprising here on the palate. I think a lot of what you find on the nose is pretty much what you get on the palate, to be honest. The proof is nice spice. I mean, for 75 bucks, I don't know, is this much better than a Private Select or one of the other wood finishing series? I just don't understand the mindset of bringing it back once you said you were done with it. Here's the thing though, as successful as Maker's Mark is, and I know that they, hone in on their specific flavor profile, this to me feels like okay, we don't know what else to do. Let's just bring back something we did already because we don't have any fresh ideas. And that's what's concerning. But Maker's Mark, on the other hand, is so hyper focused on their flavor profile, not changing things up too much. I mean, cellar age was a huge departure for them. They really don't ever release anything that old. So to have something like this now come out again, where they didn't even go to the trouble of renaming it or rebrand. I mean, they kind of rebranded it, but it still called the wood finishing series. Again, it's just using the staves to switch things up a little bit. I mean, I guess it's just their thing. This is what you would expect with Maker's Mark. I don't think it's too bad. I would feel a lot better if this was a $40 bourbon or 50, but 75 bucks for this. Again, the bourbon drinkers that have had private selects over the years will just kind of call back to this, like, why am I gonna buy this when I could already get all these different private selects that probably a good amount of them are better than this. So for this to be 75 bucks, you're not really giving us anything new. I don't know, it doesn't really get me too excited here. Let's test this against the BRT-02, which also uses toasted French oak staves. All right, so here's the BRT-02, the one I talked about in the beginning of the video. This comes in at 109.4 proof, and yes, uses 10 virgin toasted French oak staves, just like the Heart release. Now we see the definite change in bottle design here, but let's compare them here. All right, so the one thing that the Heart release does have going for it is that it doesn't have, again, it doesn't have that Maker's Mark weeded bourbon profile that I sometimes get. I'm getting it for sure in the BRT-02. It just seems brighter, a little bit more fruity, not as dark as the Heart release. All right, let's try the BRT-2. Yeah, way more fruit forward and way more weeded bourbon forward. I think the fruit, the spice is there. You definitely get a little hint of that French oak in there. I can make an argument there's some chocolate in here too. But I think that the Heart release just overall is a darker profile. Yeah, it seems sweeter. It's less fruity. It's on the darker side of things. The chocolate, the caramel. Again, I'm getting that maple syrup note. There's a nice little spice in the back end of it. Almost a little bit of a toasted marshmallow thing going on. But overall, it's definitely a darker profile compared to this one. But is it worth 75 bucks? Final breakdown. All right, final breakdown for the Maker's Mark, the Heart release, which is the first release in the new wood finishing series, coming back out, release number 1. Price for this one, $74.99, called 75 bucks. Secondary market value, I've seen these upcharged to about 90 to 100, maybe $120 the highest. Availability for this is supposedly limited, but if you look around, you could definitely find this, especially in and around Kentucky, and also online. Value for this one, I'm gonna say it's low. While I do enjoy the darker flavors of this, I just don't feel $75 warrants the price point. I mean, honestly, I'd rather pay, you know, a little less money just to grab a Maker's 46 cast strength. Most I'd pay for this, like I said, I wish it was a $40 to $50 bourbon, but it's 75 bucks and I wouldn't pay a penny more than that. Alternatives for this one, there's a lot more weeders these days at a higher proof. You have Larceny barrel proof. I mean, you have Maker's Mark 46 cast strength, which we already mentioned. You also have some of those Rebel store picks from Lux Row. And lastly, this is a skip, a try before you buy, a buy or a buy and back it up. For me, I think this is a skip. I don't think you really have to go out of your way to grab this one. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews for this. There are some people that really enjoy this one. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's worth $75, though. I think that's where I kind of hedge when it comes to this. And for me, you know, maybe I should look at it for what it is. I think in today's context, yes, it's a decent bourbon, but I think 75 bucks is just too much for it, especially when you're just kind of revamping what you already did. I just feel like there's no creativity here. I want something new. I want something new from Maker's Mark, not just the finishing staves. And if you're gonna give us more finishing staves, get some new ones. You're using the same ones that you've used in the past. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just me. However, I do think Maker's Mark fans will actually really enjoy this. But for me, I don't know. Just doesn't do enough for me. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review for the new Maker's Mark, the Heart release. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have tracked this down, if you've tried it, what you think of it. Was it worth the money to you? Was I completely off, or are you guys really enjoying this one? Again, leave a comment down below, and as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. Have a very safe and happy 4th of July, everybody.